right, in this video we're going to talk about what we're doing today for the class time. And the first part, for 15 minutes, we're going to talk about surrealism. And you're each going to get a worksheet that looks like this. On the worksheet it explains what surrealism is, but essentially it is art where things look real, but something's changing or happening in the picture that's unrealistic. It could be fantasy, dreamlike, nightmare, unusual. It's just not something that would happen in a normal, everyday setting. And so there are different types of ways to show surrealism, and you can see that on the worksheet. You are required to fill this in as I go through the PowerPoint. But the first thing is you want to make sure and put your name at the top of this worksheet. So, surrealism, as we said, is unusual things happening in a picture. There are different ways, like juxtapositioning, and that is joining two images together to make something impossible, to make it look impossible. This is by Rene Magritte, who did a lot of surrealism, and this is called the false mirror. And so normally you wouldn't see clouds through an eye like this, and so that would be putting two images together for juxtaposition. Having a train coming out of a fireplace is also an example. That's the first example of surrealism. The next example is transformation. And this is when you have objects that are changing right before your eyes. They might be melting, like this example in the persistence of memory. They could be breaking apart like glass or puzzle pieces. It could be turning into another type of image. The third example is levitation. This is also a Rene Magritte. And levitation is when people or animals or objects are floating or falling through the sky in an unnatural way. So in this example, you'll see these really calm guys just falling from the sky or levitating. This is also another example where you have this giant boulder and a castle on top of it just kind of floating randomly through the sky, which is unusual. So that is a third example. Transparency is when you can see through objects, or you get this feeling of transparency, which makes it an unusual setting. This is another example of transparency. We know that there should be an image here, but instead we get the idea of seeing through it. And so that's number 4. Scale is when objects are of an abnormal size. And it could be the main object in the picture, or it could be multiple things that are either too small or too big, like this small guy mowing the beard. Here the artist is using scale, where the table has been made out of sandwiches that are ginormous compared to the figure, or maybe the figure is too small and compared to everything else, alongside of a giant coffee cup. So scale, things are too big or too small for normalcy. Textural change is number 6 on your worksheet, and this is the last one. To get the feeling of surrealism as something unusual, something's happening with the texture of your objects, like something that we would normally eat on is of a fur texture. A face turning into bricks. You're messing with the texture, the normal feeling or look of an object. So, your goal is to fill out 1 through 6 with 3 examples that you can come up with for juxtaposition, transformation, levitation, transparency, scale change, or texture. Then at the bottom, if you have time in the 15 minutes, you may also go through, and it says, recalling dreams, briefly describe 2 bizarre dreams or situations where things were odd. that.